I now call the Carroll County Board of Commissioners July meeting to order. It's actually called a special called meeting because we did not have it on the actual date, which fell during the 4th of July week. So there's nothing really special about tonight's meeting, but by law we have to call it a special called meeting. So at this time, I'm going to ask Diane Roberts, our deputy clerk, to call the roll call.
Chairman Morgan.
Here.
Vice Chairman Fuller.
Here.
Commissioner McClendon.
Here.
Commissioner Chance.
Here.
Commissioner Reynolds.
Here.
Commissioner Lee.
Here.
Commissioner Bailey.
Here.
At this time, I'm going to ask Commissioner McClendon if he'll lead us in the invocation and then the Pledge of Allegiance.
Please bow your head. Father, we just thank you right now for this opportunity to serve this wonderful community. We ask you for your wisdom, knowledge, and understanding tonight as you lead and guide us as we go about the business of the people. Father, we pray that you would just guide and work through us in everything that we do. We ask you for your many blessings in Jesus' name. Amen. And please stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So, Commissioners, I need to add one item to the agenda because there again, it's a timely, it needs to be done before the next meeting. It is for a letter to be sent to Paulding County Commissioners concerning the rock quarry. So if y'all will approve the agenda as presented with the addition of the letter that we will discuss and hopefully approve to the Board of Commissioners for Paulding County.
So move. Second.
Great. I have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Any opposed?
Motion passed 7-0.
At this time, I'll ask for a motion to approve the minutes of the Board of Commissioners work session from May 30th, 2024, and our Board of Commission meeting on June 4th, 2024.
Motion. Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve. All those in favor? Any opposed?
Motion passed 7-0.
Okay, at this time, we usually would move into special presentations, but the Board of Commissioners do not have any, so we'll move into the public comment section, and I will call the ones in order that I received and signed up in the back, and then I will still ask if there's anyone else in the audience that would like to speak, and you are limited to 3 minutes. So the first person I have is Nan Stevens. If you'll come forward, please. And Nan, if you don't mind, state your name again, address.
I can read. Nan Stevens, 3277 East Highway 5 in beautiful downtown Lowell. So, first of all, I want to thank y'all for serving. As a wife of someone who has served in a public capacity, I understand what y'all go through. It's both a good and a bad thing. It is a mixed blessing. I come to you as one of the people. One of the people is recognized in the 50 constitutions in our United States. And I'd like to bring your attention to some recent SCOTUS rule opinions that have come down as far as the historical contents and framework of what our nation has been founded on. With that said, I have supplied a small spattering of definitions, first one being ballot, that goes back to the Webster's 1828 dictionary, here again keeping in historical context. It is not against machines, it is just for us to understand what a ballot truly is, and I would like for that to be entered into the record. There's more than these, but I will just bring attention to these. One is state. It states clearly here again, back to the, this is going back to a Black's Law Dictionary, 4th edition. Not a current edition, but the 4th edition. And also I would highlight the public trust. Y'all in servants as are endowed with our public trust as we the people. So I would encourage y'all to read each definition, familiarize yourself with the history of our nation, and I encourage you to reread or read for the first time states' constitutions. Start with Georgia, but there are 50 of them. Yes, it is a long task, but I encourage each of you to read all 50. I do want to apologize for being negligent in my own personal duties. As one of the people, it is my duty to instruct y'all as to how to move. I didn't know that. I know it now. So I apologize. Lord willing, we will open this dialogue up for future discussion and be able to proceed further. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Dan. Next, I have Dr. Tim Chowns. Pass this to y'all first. Get back to me. Thanks.
Madam Chairman, yes, I'm Tim Chowns. I'm representing the Friends of Macintosh Reserve, and we're here to thank the Board of Commissioners for the work they have done. The Friends of Macintosh Reserve want to thank each of you for your support in acquiring the additional lands for Macintosh Reserve Park along the Chattahoochee River Corridor. Friends of Macintosh has worked closely with the Trust for Public Land in furnishing supporting documents for procuring the Georgia Outdoor Stewardship Grant, and Friends of Macintosh is very interested in working with you and the Parks Department in determining the future use of these great additions to our park. Your acquisition of these parcels of land contributes significantly to the park's ability to preserve and showcase local and Native American heritage, as well as our native plants and animals. In addition, there is an unprecedented potential for expanding the recreational enjoyment of the park for the citizens of Carroll County for generations to come. For this, we thank you once again. You'll find attached a couple of articles from Georgia Trend magazine, which talk about preserving Georgia's land, and specifically some favorable remarks concerning Carroll County. So thank you very much.
Thank y'all.
Go this way.
I know there's several of y'all here in the room, so thank you for coming tonight. Is there anyone else that would like to take time to speak during the public comments? I'll ask a second time. Anyone here that wants to speak during the public comment time? Well, seeing and hearing none, we'll move into our zoning session. At this time, I'm going to call Ben Skipper forward. And I apologize, I don't have my notes because I think with our new screen, it doesn't show. But there again, for planning and zoning, the applicant has 10 minutes to speak in favor of the application. And then we have 10 minutes for those who are opposed can speak in opposition to the application. And then the applicant has 5 minutes to speak in rebuttal, and then there's 5 minutes that those opposed can speak in rebuttal also. There again, it's a total of 10 and 5 minutes, not per person, but per that time frame. So I'll turn it over to you now for the first rezoning on Highway 166.
Madam Chairman and Board of Commissioners, we have an application Z240601. This is a request from residential to commercial for a commercial office building at 2653 West Highway 166. Parcel 77-0768, landlocked 91 of the 10th District. Owner is B&H Residential Group, LLC. It's in Commission District 4. The community development staff had recommended denial of the application based upon the land use plan shows the area as residential. However, went to the Planning and Zoning Board, and the Planning and Zoning Board recommended approval of the application. Is the applicant present? If you would, come forward, state your name, and present your request to the board.
Good evening, members of the commission. My name is John Bass, local civil engineer. I reside at 106 Hidden Lakes Drive in Carrollton, and my office is 105 Corporate Drive. I'm here presenting on behalf of B&H Residential. If you don't know them, this is a company owned by John Wesley Huddleston and Craig Brannon. Both are in attendance here. They are a local residential custom home builder company. These are homegrown gentlemen right here from Carroll County. So that they have been born and raised here, and they have brought up their successful business in the community as well. They're looking to rezone this property to use it for their office and to have a design center to help them with their clientele that are purchasing homes from them. The traffic for this, I know, is always a concern. It'll be light. This is a very low flow office use. This is basically them and one full-time employee there. They'll have occasionally home buyers coming in, like I say, that design center to come in and look at different samples of finishes to look at for their home to pick from. Hours of operation will be Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, typical business hours, no nights, no weekends. Also, the exterior of this office, them being home builders, they're going to build an office building that resembles a house. So I think that's fitting for the neighborhood entryway transitioning into the Greenwood Estates, having exterior finishes and architectural features that would go along with houses. So the front parking and drive be paved. They're looking or planning to do a gravel lot in the side or the rear. Do you have a site plan? I'm assuming y'all have seen the site plan. Forgive me for jumping in without making sure. That area is planned to be used for trailers. They have trailers attached to their pickup trucks. These aren't transfer truck trailers by any means, that they take out to their job sites. With that, their plan would be putting an opaque fence around it. We understand the visibility would be a concern with that, so we'd be blocking the view with the fence. Also, there's not a real need for a lot of lighting, so their plan would be minimal lighting for the parking lot for safety reasons, also having it low level as well. You'll see on the site plan we've got a 20-foot landscape buffer proposed around the property where we're abutting residential lots. And I would like to say that I understand there's a concern about maybe what you'd call spot zoning for this. I would argue that this is not spot zoning. There's 11 properties within a stone's throw of this site that are already zoned commercial. Several across the street. Dreamscapes is on the other side of West Greenwood. You got Thompson Grading and Clearing across the highway, Pool RX. And just not too long ago, another property further down west of this site got rezoned commercial for an event venue. So I would argue that spot zoning is not a concern or applicable given the zoning request that is being made. And then I would also add that at the Planning Commission, we had one concerned neighbor come to the meeting, curious and concerned about what was going on. Obviously, after the meeting, she came to us, was very complimentary of our plan. She appreciated how we were trying to, although we're trying to get a commercial zoning, we're having a use that is very low in traffic demand and not being intrusive to their neighborhood. With that, I'll pass it on to Craig.
Good evening, Chairman, Commissioners. Thank you. My name's Craig Brannon. On behalf of B&H Residential Group, I'm one of the owners, and I just want to introduce myself. I was born and raised in Carroll County, been here all my life. My dad grew up building custom homes in the area in the 80s and 90s, and I followed suit, and I just wanted to stress the fact that we've got the best interest to the county. We definitely do not want any type of eyesore. That's why we want to build a brick and mortar building within the county. Currently, we're renting a spot in the city, and I'd rather keep my tax dollars, me personally, in the county as we build, custom homes throughout the county. We've done millions of dollars of gross revenue in the last couple of years within the county, and we see it fit that it'd be a best suit for us. My wife's a teacher at Carrollton Elementary School. We attend church at City Station. A very convenient location for us. It's very convenient for our clients. We build the custom homes upscale on acreage. We don't do tract builds, so this is a very attractive lot for us because we're not downtown city of Carrollton. Got a rural element to it, and we would like to stress that we're going to put a lot of features that we would in our normal residential houses in this building. Brick and mortar, probably some custom timber accents outside, very residential look to it, high-end feel to it, and adding those landscaping buffers to be sure not to be a nuisance to the community. As John said, I'd like to stress it's not going to be a high-traffic area. Be a minimum of, we got one office worker. Myself and John Wesley as owners will be in and out occasionally, and then maybe have two or three meetings with clients throughout the week as a design center, and just mainly administrative work. So not going to be any type of machinery running or any type of assemblies or anything of that nature. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Wesley Huddleston. I live at 6 Timber Ridge Place, which is one street down from this proposed rezoning. So I am a neighbor and also an employee of B&H Residential. Now, my only concern is from City Station to a half a mile or past this property.
Are you here speaking in favor or opposed?
I'm in favor.
Okay, I just want to make sure. Okay.
Yeah, I'm in favor.
Okay, but you said concern. I want to make sure.
Yeah, I'm an employee of this company.
I want to make sure.
And let me get my train of thought going again. So I live one street over. So I wanted to tell you I'm not, drove in or something like that. I'm in the actual neighborhood. From City Station, on good ways, half mile past this property, the majority of the properties are commercial. And whether we like it or not, it seems that 166 corridor is all turning commercial. And I'd hate for this one project or this one property to be excluded when there's a Poo RX, a wedding venue, a grading company, a landscaping company, and majority of the houses are rental. Now, we can say rental is residential. Rental is commercial, believe me. If I'm renting a 3-bedroom house and I have no intention to ever live in it again, in my opinion, that's commercial property because I'm making a profit out of it other than having it as a normal resident. So we would appreciate your support. We passed the Planning Commission 5-0 a few weeks ago. So if we could have your support, I would appreciate it, and thank you.
Diane, how much time do we have left? 1:54. Is there anyone else that wants to speak in favor of this? And I'll give you a little bit more since I interrupted. You said the word concern and you threw me for a loop.
My name is John Wesley Huddleston. I'm the owner of B&H Residential Group. I'm not a public speaker, but I'd like to thank you for letting us talk to you today. Like everybody said before, we're trying to build a brick and mortar business and have our office there. I really like the location. I want to beautify the neighborhood. I grew up right down the street. That was my dad that spoke before. I used to ride my bicycle on these streets, so I have an interest in taking care of these locations. My kids go to school at City Station. My wife's a teacher at Carrollton Carrollton Elementary School, so we're very much invested in our community, and we want to be a part of our community for a long time. How much time do I have?
You're okay.
Sorry. But we, like I say, we're going to have probably one office worker there on a daily basis between 8 to 5. We're going to have probably 3 to 5 total cars throughout the day. We don't plan on building anything on site. We won't be prepping anything, won't be storing any large materials. If I store anything, it's going to be, small tangible items. And like Craig said, we want to build a building that looks like the custom houses that we build. Most of the houses that we build right now are in the 4,000 plus square feet range, and they're all using custom timbers and board and bat siding and architectural shingle roofs, standing seam metal roofs. We want to continue that through our business and what we want to look like, and portray. So when you walk into our office, you can look up and see, hey, this is what I want in my house. And that's kind of what we're wanting to do. But we appreciate, like I said, we appreciate your time, and we thank you for everything you do.
At this time, is there anyone here to speak in opposition? And if you'll state your name and your address, please.
Tony Thornton, 2752 Highway 160 West, out in District 4 over there. Is there such a thing as neutral in this? I really don't care if these gentlemen put this building up over there. It's not zone commercial now, but everything else around there is, including my place. But I've been there 80-something years, and I've seen some development out in there, good and bad. But these guys own a lot behind them, and in construction, there's something called construction debris, and they said trailers. I hope they're not planning on bringing in any debris and putting behind this building, because we've already got a large problem with RX Pool now dumping concrete and pool supplies and asphalt and covering it up right next door across the road from this. I've filed a complaint about that, and nothing's happened yet. But I've got pictures of concrete, asphalt, and pool supplies covered up with gravel and dirt out there. But if these guys are not going to do anything like that on their extra lot, I don't have any problem with them putting their building up there. I'd be glad to have them.
Is there anyone else here that would like to speak in opposition? I'll ask a second time if there's anyone here that wants to speak in opposition. Well, seeing and hearing none, we'll close out this 10 minutes. We'll go back to the 5 minutes for the applicant. If there's any comments you want to add or any rebuttal you need to add, no pressure, but if you'd like to.
Do you have any questions?
We'll get to you on that one.
I'll just stress that given that nobody has come up to complain, I would very encourage you, please, to consider this zoning. Thank you.
All right, there's no further people to speak during the 5-minute rebuttal. I'll ask if there's anybody that wants to speak in opposition during the 5-minute rebuttal. Well, seeing and hearing none, I'll open it up for the commissioners for discussion or questions from staff or the applicant.
Ben, you're going to have to come back up here.
Commissioner?
Okay, there's 3 commercial properties right here close to where they're asking to do this. And if I remember correctly, we just zoned this a subdivision 2 years ago. Is that correct?
That's
This was
correct.
part of the Beck, was it the Beck property?
It's part of the Beck properties.
Okay, and we zoned that a subdivision.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Well, I did a little digging around. That piece of commercial property that's right across on West Greenwood, that's now a landscape. Is it a landscape service?
Landscaping service.
Okay, that started as a daycare center, right?
To my knowledge, it was a daycare center before.
Okay, and that was changed to commercial lab from what I could find in 1998.
1998 or prior. So that's our
Prior
first zoning map. Zoning started in '86, and our first digital parcel map was 1998. And on the '98 map, it was on commercial.
Okay, and I really couldn't find, it was sometime around 2000 when the daycare center went under and.
Correct. It
And it
changed
became-
hands and became
Okay.
the
All right,
landscape.
and to me, therein lies part of the problem. That piece of property was owned commercial. Anything commercial could have gone in there,
Correct.
okay? And across the road at the equipment company and the pool place, that was originally zoned agriculture, was cut out in, looks like 1998 or somewhere along in there.
I believe it was Garrett Commercial Properties did that in 1998.
Okay.
The Thompson, the big building with the 16-foot walls was built in 1998.
Okay, so it was zoned, it went from agricultural to commercial.
Correct.
And then they put one building on it, and then it was split. and they
Pool
had-
RX bought the property south of it.
And they sold it to the pool company.
Correct.
And to me, therein lies the problem with turning residential and agricultural property into commercial. Once it goes commercial, if they cease to exist or they decide to sell it, we're stuck with commercial in a residential area. And this is a subdivision. Am I correct?
Correct. The more stated better is the property does not revert back to residential.
Right.
Once it's zoned commercial until the Board of Commissioners changes it.
Okay, well, and I understand there's some other commercial property down the road, but just looking at this map, I can count about 30, 35 pieces of property that surround this that's residential. So what I'm afraid of, we're gonna let the genie out of the bottle. And we're gonna start putting commercial property in subdivisions. If you do it once, you gotta do it every time. Am I correct?
I think the board votes individually on each application.
Right, but we gotta have, once you get started, I mean, if they point to this one, okay, well,
I think what Steve's trying to say, you worried about setting a precedence.
yes, I'm worried about setting a precedence here.
Right.
Well, I personally rather see a commercial building than rooftops. That's just my opinion.
Yeah.
Is there a reason we're not zoning this office institutional?
It was the outside storage is what triggered, as we all know, builders, and that was what John Bass discussed, is that they have cargo trailers that they carry around their power tools, screwdrivers, screws, skill saws, all the other things they need to build a house with. That is stored inside that cargo trailer and locked. So that's outside storage. So that's what triggers them over into needing a commercial zoning category, because they want to store it on their site instead of taking their trailer to their residence at home, is what the applicants had expressed to the planning and zoning staff.
So this would require complete, I mean, there's nothing that we could do to let them build something that looks like a house, operate a business out of it, and then if they decide we're not going to do this anymore, we revert it back to residential.
I was listening, but just one more time.
Well, I mean, I guess I know we can't do conditional use permits on that. Let's say they build something that looks like a house.
Right, it'll look like a house,
Okay,
but it'll
and then-
be,
And then they get down the road and they decide, we're not going to do this anymore.
and it's zone commercial.
And it's zone commercial.
Correct, and that's the question. Then all other allowed uses in commercial then could go in there, so.
Couldn't they come back and rezone it though, for residential?
They also could come back and rezone it to residential, but the applicant would have to do that.
That's what I'm saying.
Yes, the applicant would have to do that. But what Steve's asking is if the Board of Commissioners approves commercial, then all the uses allowed in commercial could go there. So in theory, Dollar General could be there, or the next landscaping place could be there. I mean, I see where you're trying to go with the question, and that's just to be simpler. Yes, all allowed uses in commercial would be allowed if the Board of Commissioners approves it.
Help me get it a little better
Yeah.
picture of this, Ben. So I agree with Mr. Bass in that it's not technically spot zoning since it's not in the center of a conglomerate of other types of zoning. However, I put myself in the shoes of those who have bought subdivision lots and are residing there as their home place. I'll get to the rental in just a minute. Doing that, then if it were me, I would not want one of the primary lots at the corner of my subdivision that was platted originally for a subdivision residential lot to suddenly become commercial and have a Dollar General put in there next year, 18 years down the road or whatever. I would want it, I bought my residential lot in a platted subdivision to be residential. I'd want it to remain that way. That's where I'm coming from with these questions. So is it actually a platted subdivision lot?
The plat is on your screen.
Yeah.
You scroll down, Diane, let me see the signature blocks.
I mean, it's platted and it says, it has a name and everything
Yes,
to it.
this is Greenwood Estates Phase 2. This went to all departments in the county. So it went to the Water Authority, Department of Transportation, Environmental Health, Community Development, and the Commission Office. So this is a platted Greenwood Estates Phase 2.
Okay. So, again, just to try to get a little better flavor of that environment there, it was mentioned that there are several rental homes. Do we know roughly how many platted subdivision lots there are? And of those, how many would be rental homes? I mean, is it
We would have
80%
no
rental
knowledge.
homes or?
You might have to ask Hubert. I mean, he might
Yeah.
know, but Community Development would have no idea how many fee simple homes are rented.
I mean, we don't know why this lot, I mean, this is an older subdivision, why this lot has remained vacant?
It was part of the Beck property that we.
This was part of the Beck estate. It came back before the board.
2 years ago.
2 years in the board, and the Board of Commissioners approved these lots.
Okay.
And the reason you approved the lots the way they were was because of the new septic tank rules, because Glenwood Estates was actually, I think, half-acre lots, and now the new septic rules is how you ended up with the subdivision looking like you did, because the soil requirements are so much greater now than there was when Greenwood came through.
Okay. And someone mentioned, I think, that there is another lot that is owned by the applicant adjacent to this lot or behind this lot or something. In other words, what we're approving, is it all the property contiguous that is owned by the applicant, or do they own more that could potentially turn commercial down the road?
Nathan, is it just, without my glasses, it's just the corner lot, correct? It's just the corner lot, so it's not the other adjoining lot. It's just the corner lot.
What was the basis for planning and zoning to approve? I haven't read planning and zoning meeting, so sorry about that.
I can read you that. Let's see the minutes here. Commissioner Vance explained he did not see any issue with the request at the location. Commissioner Hagan asked if there were any interest in buying adjacent properties. John answered they did have interest in buying adjacent properties, but the owners did not want to sell. Commissioner Simpkins asked about the business and why they wanted this location. John answered they are a residential construction business and the office will be for people to come in and design their new homes. He likes that lot because it's centrally located for him and he likes the location. There was no opposition. Commissioner Vance made the motion to approve. Commissioner Simpkins seconded. The recommended approval was unanimous 5-0.
To what extent has there been opposition expressed? I mean, there was one person tonight. I just wondered about the flavor because it's not in my district, so I haven't gotten any calls.
I've had 2 phone calls, that's all, from folks up in Greenwood.
I'm not reading where anyone opposed, and I'll verify that with my staff. No one opposed, correct? Huh? No one opposed at the Planning Commission meeting.
Ben, I don't know if you remember, it was a few years ago, it was down on 27. It was something similar to this, but the plan was to operate a business out of it for a while and then revert it to residential and sell it. And we denied it because it was not as clear cut as this.
That was Ron Dupree, and the name of his homes is, can't think of the name of his, New Way Homes.
Yeah.
It was on 27 South, across the street from Lowell Road, and that road, what's the one across from Lowell? Webb,
Hubbard Springs?
Yeah,
Hubbard Springs.
Hubbard Springs.
It was at the corner of Hubbard Springs and US 27. New Wave Homes proposed 5 homes to be model homes, and the board denied the application.
This is not a bad plan. What sticks in my craw is that landscape business on the other side that started out as a daycare center, and I can't predict what's going to happen 10 years down the road. And I sure don't want a big box or like a Dollar General winding up in there, or they could, even if they sold the building to another, there's no telling what could wind up in there. I guess what I'm asking is there some sort of, I guess not a conditional use permit, but could they go in there, do this, and that only, and then somewhere down the road, if they decide to sell, it has to go back to residential?
That could be challenged. You can add conditions like the type of structure, the fencing, the lighting, those types of things, but saying certain uses, only certain uses could be challenged down the road. Could be hard to enforce down the road.
What if you agree, what if they agreed to something like that?
Like, down the road, it could still be challenged.
I guess my concern is sort of like Steve's. I mean, the plan you have now is not a bad plan, but if I'm that resident living in the house next door and I don't have a opposition to this plan, but 10 years down the road when it sells and something else is there, then my community has just become some other business in there I don't want. So that's the concern I got, is because it's in the middle of that, or on the corner of that subdivision, and if I was that property owner, I'd be concerned about it. But maybe that property owner or the rest of them hadn't thought about what it could be 5 years or 10 years down the road that turned into something else. So I don't know.
Why did the staff originally recommend denial?
Based upon the land use plan. So from a staff standpoint, the board adopted a land use plan, and we follow and recommend based upon the plan.
Mr. Skipper, the question that I have is, I would agree with the sentiment that was talked about earlier, is that each individual case is decided by the Board of Commissioners, doesn't always set a precedent. But what is unique about this is that this is not necessarily a geographical area in general that we're asking to rezone, but it is a part of an actual currently platted subdivision. And so my question is there anything else in the county that comes to your mind that in any platted residential subdivision where this exception has been made?
I've been here since 2013, and there hasn't been one since then. So,
thank you.
That's the thing that sticks in my mind, is it being an actual platted subdivision lot. That's the thing I don't like. I do wish I knew. I mean, if 99% of the lots in there were rental homes, that might bring a little different flavor to this. But not knowing that, I really stick with the platted subdivision issue.
So Commissioner Fuller, I'll look for a motion to approve or disapprove this application if we're ready.
I'll make a motion to deny.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
So we have a motion and a second to deny. So when I call for the vote, if you raise your hand, you are agreeing to denial. That makes sense? If I ask if you approve it, you're agreeing to denial. And if I ask if you are not in favor, then you are, it's going a little bit opposite. I just want to make sure we all know what we're voting on. That maybe it's just me that need to talk through it. Okay. So at this time, if there's no further questions or any comments from the Board of Commissioners, I'll ask for all those who are in favor of denying this application. All those against.
Motion to deny passed 5-2.
Go to the next zoning.
Our next application is Z240602, a rezoning request from commercial to agriculture to build a single-family home on Highway 27 South, parcel 92-0140, land lot 1 of the 11th District. Owner applicant is Richard Shackelford and Cindy Allen. This is in District 4. Staff recommended approval. The Planning and Zoning Board recommended approval also. Is the applicant present? If you would, come forward, state your name, and present your request to the board.
Hello, my name is Ovie Samples. My property address is 196 Williams Road in Villa Rica. I'm here for the subject property of the rezoning of South 27 Highway in Carrollton. I am a realtor with Southern Home Management Solutions, and I represent the buyer in this. Cindy Allen was at the previous meeting with Georgia Life Realty, and she represents the seller. This property is on the east side of South 27 Highway in Carrollton, and it's 15 plus acres. My client has previously purchased the neighboring property and would like to build a home on this property, on the subject property we're discussing. He is aware that there's rock on the front of the property and would like to build on the back of the property. Cindy also wanted me to notate that by rezoning and selling this 15 plus acres, that it will help her to sell the property on the west side, the larger parcel. Thank you.
Is there anyone else here to speak in favor of this application? Okay, so we'll move to is there anyone here to speak against this application?
Allison Stober, 1145 Lowell Road. I travel that Rock Ridge every time I have to come to Carrollton, so I hope the applicant realizes that that's a extension of Stone Mountain, and it is a permanent rock ridge that they will have to work around, and I think it should stay rock.
Is there anyone here that would like to speak in opposition of the application? Anyone else? Well, seeing and hearing none, I'll go back to the applicant. Would you like to make any rebuttals or any further comments? You don't have to, I'm just asking. It's okay, it's okay. Okay, all right. So at this time, I'll open it up for the commissioners if y'all have any questions for staff or the applicant.
Ben, Planning and Zoning approved this, didn't they? Correct. Okay. Ma'am, you're aware there's a grave on that piece of property, right? Okay. Are you going to allow access to that grave by the family members?
I need her to come forward. Will you please come forward so it can be on the recording? Thank you.
Commissioner Fuller, I think Stacy and I have just worked through this question out on 113 North. They cannot deny access to anyone, family member or not, to the cemetery. So access will have to be provided to the cemetery.
Okay.
Are there any?
That was my only question, that you are aware that there is a grave on that piece of property?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and-
We are aware of that.
There are people that go out to it occasionally.
Okay. I was not aware that people go out to it or about the access situation, but I can definitely let my client know. But he is aware that there is a grave out there. All parties to this are.
Okay.
If there's no further questions or comment, I'll look for a motion from the board.
I make a motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. If there's no further discussion or questions.
Madam Chairman, I do have a question regarding the grave. Is there any legality, Ms. Blackman, that we would have to, is some kind of condition grant access to a grave? I don't know what state or federal laws would be around that.
There's a general law that landowners have to give access to graves. We also have a county ordinance. I don't know that this is one of the, I doubt this is one of the graveyards or cemeteries that's covered by that, but general law is they can't prohibit visitors that need to visit the grave. Or
I just want to make sure that that's on the record, because the representative here stated they recognized that there was a grave site there, but wasn't aware that people could visit, and so I don't want there to be any ambiguity that may be a potential that they have to grant access as a part of us granting the rezoning application this evening.
Well, I believe it's listed as a family cemetery.
it is, okay.
Right, yeah, but it's not a family, it's one guy, one grave. So, and I know people go out there just out of curiosity.
Okay, no further questions or comments. All those in favor? Any opposed?
Motion passed 7-0.
Thank you. We next move into the consent agenda, and on that was just the one item was the engagement letter with the auditors. I'll get back to the main screen. Okay. There we go. So at this time, we discussed this at our last work session, so this will be one vote. All those in favor? Wait, I need a motion and a second? Yes, I need a
Motion to
motion
approve.
and a second to approve the consent agenda. Thank you for the motion, Commissioner McClendon.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Any opposed?
Motion passed 7-0.
Okay, the next thing we're going to do is move into new business, which the first thing on that item is the county leave policy. And I'm going to call the attorney, Stacy Blattman, to present to us what we had discussed at the work session with a few tweaks.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Commissioners. I believe you've received a draft of the proposed resolution to amend the county's leave policy. This was discussed at length at the work session, and there was one change that was mentioned at the work session, which was the instead of abolishing the donated leave, it's now that no employee shall be allowed to receive more than 480 hours of combined donated leave and personal PTO paid time off in any rolling 12-month period. Employees may not receive donated leave on workers' comp or short-term disability, and donors of leave must maintain a balance of 80 hours of PTO after donating. So the resolution is to adopt the new policy and for the paid time off policy, and to authorize the chairman and staff along with the county attorney to draft revisions to the policy and to take all actions necessary to implement the changes. And these changes would be effective January 1st, 2025, except for the donated leave change. The comp time is abolished and will not accrue after July 1st. Flexible time may be allowed within a single pay period at the supervisor's discretion. And the third thing is that FMLA paperwork required for an extended absence will change so that it's only required if that extended absence is greater than 2 weeks, and it includes family medical leave and employees receiving workers' comp benefits. So those are the three proposed changes that would take effect immediately. Everything else would take effect next January if you approve it, and that would give time to work through the transition period. So,
do we have any questions from the Board of Commissioners?
What was the hours before Stacy, about 480 hours of combined donated leave and personal. What was it before?
I believe there was no cap, is that right?
It was originally 480.
It was 480? Okay, so that's the same then. Okay.
Okay, so we're not allowing, really, we're allowing donated leave, but it takes the place of personal PTO to the extent that they get donated leave, if it stays at 480.
Yes. The change that...
You want to speak into that microphone?
Like I said the last time that we talked about it, the 480 has always been in there, but there was no cap of what an employee could receive. So by putting the 480 between their own time and what was donated would still be the 480.
So it would only benefit those who had less than a total of 480 hours of personal PTO in their bank to get donated leave.
You would have to exhaust all of your time in order to get donated leave.
Okay, I'm just trying to...
But if you've already, if you've got the 480 of your own, you wouldn't be able to receive any donated leave beyond the 480.
Okay, so I thought our discussion before was to allow some portion of donated leave so as to extend the total beyond what was there, so to give more of a cushion to employees.
I guess part of I'm the one, I guess, that spoke up and really wanted this to be added back in, because I thought we were going from one extreme with no cap to completely taking it away. And we talk about serious illness, cancer, different things that are out of people's control, having some kind of additional safety guard there that was not on the backs of the county, but that their fellow coworkers could extend forward. And so the way this is currently set up is if you were going into something extremely sick and you didn't have any time there, then someone could add everything and it could just keep on and on and on and on, correct, Ms. Lee? And so this is making it more manageable for HR to control, not only from a short-term disability if someone takes out their own policy, but also the county has a long-term policy that it pays for each individual employee. So this allows them, if they need to be put into that particular category, and while we want our employees to get better and come back to work, it does not allow them to stay, for instance, in that position forever, and then that supervisor or department head doesn't have the capability to fill that either. So it's helping the employees on the front end to be able to have donated leave shared amongst their coworkers that before was just an endless cycle. It's also helping the county and the Human Resources Department by running a business, if you will, with 700 employees. If you have certain situations that that employee needs to be put into long-term or put into short-term or long-term, then that's able to cycle and happen as well. So I think this cleans up on all the different fronts.
So, thank you. As I said, the 480 cap then benefits those who don't have 480. If you already have 480, the allowance of donated leave isn't beneficial. If you only have 150, then you're in good shape up to 480.
That's correct.
Okay. So does the 480 dovetail then with other benefits like short and long-term disability that we have then? Is that 480 the magic number that would allow them to dovetail into other?
That is correct, Commissioner Reynolds. If you look at the family leave policy, it's 480 hours. So when the donated program was originally created, we went out and looked at the FMLA and we matched it to the number of hours that your job is protected. If you purchase a short-term disability, it will cover, you purchase a 7-day or a 14-day, it will cover up to 12 weeks as well, which would match the 480 as well.
Okay.
And just to add an additional point to that, FMLA, under the current situation, we're not required to pay that employee. We're only required to obtain or keep their job intact. So by adding this particular situation here where we're adding, allowing the coworkers to share with each other, we're allowing them to get paid. So I think there's misconstrued sometimes when we think, oh, well, you're guaranteed 12 weeks, but you're not guaranteed 12 weeks of pay.
Yeah. Yeah. Sounds logical. Thank you.
Well, if there's no further questions or comments, I'll look for a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve. If there's no further comments or discussion, I'll ask for the vote. All those in favor? Any opposed?
Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you. We have Dee Perry here today. Now, we did discuss this at our last work session, so unless, Dee, you have any new information or the commissioners have any questions for you, it just was added at the last minute, so I wanted to give you all time to think about it before we voted, put it on a consent agenda. So I'll look for a motion in a second, and then we can have discussion if we need it.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the Carroll County application for the CEP-ALE program. At this time, if there's any questions or comments for Dee?
I just want to say as a comment, I really appreciate the engagement that you have brought forth to continue all these different agricultural avenues that we're able to strengthen, and the advisory committee that we've been able to put together, and then the expertise that you've brought to the table and trying to streamline that with state and federal services and monies and grants and different things out there that are available to us. So this, to me, is just another cog in the wheel of something additional that we're able to add to continue to strengthen what we all recognize as agricultural still being a big, heavy part of our heritage, and a lot of people continue to make a living off of in Carroll County. So I appreciate this, not only for what it is specifically, but for what it adds to the agricultural community, just to strengthen us.
Thank you. And I really appreciate everyone's work and the compliment. Thank you very much. And your continued support of our ag community.
I also would like to thank you, Dee, for your efforts and for the Ag Advisory Committee members' efforts in coming up with this. Anything we can do to buttress the agricultural community, I would be for. I would like to see in the future, like unlike our proposed budget that was given to us this last time, there was no more money put into it. So basically, if you have more applicants, you're just cutting the pie into smaller pieces, and everybody has to get a little nibble instead of a larger bite. Hopefully, in the future, after I'm gone, the future District 5 Commissioner and others of us up here can seriously consider possibly expanding the amount of funds that we have that we place in this program, so that the little nibble might become a more attractive bite, and more applicants might mean a little more funding in this conservation program.
I can add a little something to that.
Sure.
Too, at the state level, we now have Georgia Farmland Conservation Act that passed, and they created a fund with that. And I just found out yesterday that Georgia has put $2 million into that fund just in the last couple of weeks. I'm hoping this is just seed money, because it takes, as you see what the county has spent since 2004 on this program. $2 million for an entire state is not a lot, so we hope to be lobbying for more funds to go in there, and we're hoping that maybe they'll put in matching dollars as well. So that would be a great benefit to the county.
Okay, at this time, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor of the requirements for the Carroll County application? Any opposed?
Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you, Dee, and thank you to the committee. At this time, we're going to move into the item that I added, the proposed objection to the Paulding County proposed rock quarry. I'm going to call Ben Skipper with Community Development up to discuss this a little bit further.
Madam Chairman, Commissioners, Chairman Morgan asked planning staff to review this, and just to kind of give you a few notes of facts. The total area is 201 acres that they're applying for. Of that, they're proposing the pit's going to be 53.6 acres. Paulding County notified me that they own property in Carroll County, but when we reviewed the site plan did not denote or show the property in Carroll County that I've highlighted in pink on your site plan. So that pink triangle is part of ownership, but the applicant has not shown any activity on Carroll County side of the county line. The property is zoned agriculture and will continue to be zoned agriculture regardless of the outcome in Paulding County. For anyone to take action on the property in Carroll, it must go before this Board of Commissioners. You can see that they only have one access point on Highway 101. That's 55 plus miles an hour. You know, obviously staff has concerns, but this is a GDOT regulated highway. Therefore, it's out of the control of Carroll County's Board of Commissioners and Paulding County Board of Commissioners, but that's still a concern, just common sense. You got an 18-ton truck and you got to pull out in a road that somebody's running 55 plus miles an hour. So that is going to cause some type of traffic movement problems. They are proposing, the applicant says they're going to receive about 109 trucks a day is what they're proposing. So for an 8-hour shift. The project is being, I would say, advertised or the spend zone as a job creator for Paulding County. The applicant is only showing 18 parking spaces. So I'm sure some of those 18 is going to be the public coming to the site. So obviously we're going to have less than 18 employees on site. Our recommendation would be denial. Obviously that's what the board is on the board tonight before y'all. And just some other facts, the applicant has not reached out to Carroll County's community development staff or the Carroll County Board of Commissioners. And obviously it's on the county line. So, you know, just from a standpoint of, you know, if you're going to stick it up against the neighbor's property line or the Carroll County property line, you think we would at least receive a phone call. But aside from that, Carroll County's planning and zoning staff recommends denial of this application. If there's any questions?
I know that this particular area butts up to both Commissioner Lee and myself in our districts, District 2 and District 3. I've got several concerns about the area, stuff that I believe on my own and other things that obviously I've had different constituents that have reached out to me through email or through phone calls. I know Legion Lake is near there. I think there's some concern if that would disrupt the wildlife both in and outside of the lake. If there could possibly be any runoff sediment, I don't know. Obviously, there's some blasting concerns. What would that look like? The other thing is I believe that there is a pipeline, a gas pipeline within a mile or two of the area. I don't know what that would look like, if that could possibly affect it with blasting. The other thing is to allow this zoning of industrial and basically an agricultural and rural and residential area. I have concerns about that as well. And my main concern, besides disrupting the well-being of the community is the quality of life, is that while this may be a GDOT regulated road, as you stated, it is still only a 2-lane road. And I've traveled that road many a times, headed to Rockmark and back and forth, and it's a very dangerous roadway anytime you see 18-wheelers on it for multiple reasons, not only with them pulling out in the road, but as people are in a car, can go from 55 and can stop relatively quick, turning off into their private drives, and you've got 18-wheelers that are barreling down through there, and they do not have the same capability to stop as quickly. And so having a 2-lane road with that type of heavy traffic gives me great concern. For the record, I'm not against rock quarries in general. I think every service or business or product that is out there is something that's needed in the community and is bought. But I think location is key. And I do not believe that the location would serve the citizens of Villa Rica, both in unincorporated in Carroll County, but also the incorporated in the city of Villa Rica. Those are my constituents as well, and I believe that those trucks would somehow have to obviously pass through in different areas within the city limits and add to congestion there. And I think there's also concerns with these trucks try to find additional pathways onto Carroll County unincorporated roads that we are in charge of maintaining. And so for those reasons and many more that I won't go into, I am wholeheartedly in supportive of this board sending forth a letter to ask the Paulding County Board of Commissioners to deny this request. And I do want to thank the chairman, and I do want to thank Mr. Skipper, you and your staff and the full board for, I think, being supportive of what this would do to detriment our area and for us standing up and speaking for the citizens.
I've had numerous conversations too. I want to let y'all know with Senator Bearden, and he has assured me he has spoken with both our representatives, Tyler Paul and Jay Collins. They are all in opposition also.
Yeah, Ben, how far away is this from Billerica Middle School? It's got to be pretty close.
Oh, sure, it's just down the road.
That's what I thought. It's right past the turnoff to go into the American Legion up there, isn't it?
Absolutely. Legion Lake's just down, it's on, and that was kind of the point I was trying to make. You know, it's stuck right on the county line.
Yeah.
So we're affected. You know, there's no way around it. Carroll County will be affected by this. And the things that Clint Chance made, you know, the cut through is Rainy Road back to Temple, and I'm over code enforcement, and I know working with Danny Yates, the Public Works Director, that's his number one complaint, is dump trucks cutting through cut-through roads all the time. I know in Ernie Reynolds District, it's old 5 Notch Road. Fuller, it's Clem Lowell Road, Stripling Chapel Road, Commissioner Tommy Lee, it's Hickory Level Road. I mean, for Clint Chance's area, it's Ledbetter Road from 61 to 101, and the list goes on and on and on, and now we're going to put one on the county line.
Well, I'm glad what we did, thanks to each of us for strengthening and taking this type of thing out of agriculture and straightening out our ordinances a couple of years ago. So I'm glad.
One additional note, this will go before Paulding County's Planning Commission meeting in a few weeks from now, so it'll be at the end of the month, and then this will go before Paulding County's Board of Commissioners in August. So there is still time, lots of time, several weeks, for those that don't know to get involved and educate themselves. My staff is open. We'll help you anyway and answer any questions you need and provide you with maps.
So I won't take time to read the letter since it is attached, but I'll ask at this time if there's a motion and a second to approve the letter to be sent to the Paulding County Board of Commissioners.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion to approve and a second. If there's no further discussion, I'll ask all those in favor. Any opposed?
Motion carries 7-0.
We will not be moving into executive session this evening, so I'll ask for a motion and a second to adjourn the meeting.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Any opposed?
Motion carries 7-0.